One of the questions is, could God have used processes in bringing about the life forms that we see today, or does it have to be just instantaneous? Well, of course, it's up to God, right? He is all-powerful. I believe He had the choice of doing it either way. So you, in effect, have to go out and see, what does Genesis teach? What is scientific material, the evidence, in particularly which direction is that point? But of course, all that evidence has to be interpreted. I think it's helpful. There's one little thing that I think is helpful to know, and that is, if you look at the case of the Exodus from Egypt, here is a classic case of a tremendous, miraculous event, the dividing of the waters of the Red Sea. But if you go to Exodus 14, you will see at one point it mentions that God sent a strong east wind that blew all night. That was in connection with the dividing of these waters. In other words, God Himself used means. What was miraculous about it was a very extraordinary event, but what was most miraculous about it was when it happened. Right, just at the right point, Pharaoh and his army are there and they're coming after him. And it's clearly something that God was involved in an intimate and personal way. But it doesn't mean that He didn't use means. And that means, I think, that we should retain some flexibility. The Genesis account doesn't mention means other than very basic of saying that it's out of the earth, for instance, that He brought the plants and the animals. But other than that very basic thing, doesn't go into detail. But to me, that doesn't go into detail either way, right? Either to say, oh, He did it in a moment, which He could have, or He used processes. So that much, I think, shows us that it's possible to take either point of view. Now, we'd also have to get into the discussion of the days of Genesis and how long they are. There are several views there, and again, I'd refer people to my book, Redeeming Science, where I lay out about 10 different views, all of which are trying to wrestle with, here's Scripture, which is authoritative, and here's scientific evidence, which we have to interpret.